Good afternoon. This is Ron Brown. It is Saturday, April 2nd, and I'm going to do a market report, but I'm going to do something different rather than rehashing what the indexes are doing and so on. I'm going to show you where the strength is in the market and where it has been using my user smart groups and ones I've come up with. So here is my standard risk disclaimer. All trading strategies are used at your own risk. If you see a stock or something, ETF that I recommend or comment on, I'm not going to be recommending anything. I don't want you to take that trade based upon what I say. It's at your own risk, so just remember that. Anyway, let me get this out of the way. I've got a screen layout here. I want to show you. I've got this is the ranking module. This is the warehouse module. The ranking module is set on EN slow relative strength, which is comparable to the group rankings that we get in HGSI. And this is a chart over here that you will find if you're an Insider Club member. You're going to find it in my relative strength charts. I have RS versus industry, SPY, QQQ, and the IWM, or the Russell, on daily and weekly basis. And I just added the VPA support and resistance lines today. So if you already downloaded and installed my new add-on, just go ahead and do it again, and your charts will contain the support and resistance line based upon volume price analysis. Now, I'm going to try to keep this relatively short, but I want to show you what's really happening in the market and where the strength is and where it has been. Now, these groups, or this layout, is my new layout for my user smart groups, and I've really cut down on what's visible. All of the other smart groups are in here under the archive, but I'm not using most of them. I'm concentrating on these, and I've been working with these for a little over a month now. I'm altering, picking out the ones that I wanted to have in here for now, and I'm going to take a look at these. This is intraday. I want to concentrate today on end of day bullish, and these are the smart groups that I'm using. Now, what I want to show you is when I go into the group inclusion report and I go to my user smart groups. First of all, I want to clear all. I didn't want to check all. I want to clear all. And go into my user groups under my non-index files. You'll find this folder, Ron's Top User Smart Groups End of Day. And I have most of March and April. So I'm going to select those, and I'm going to check the children, and what that does is it selects all the groups that are underneath these primary groups. And I'm going to run this. What this does is it generates an HTML page, and you can see that CF Industries is a stock that appeared the most, 65 times, and it started back on the 4th of March, and that's the first day that I started tracking these, and it's in both end of day 85 EPS and 85 relative strength stocks and groups moving up. And if you look down here, you're going to see those groups a lot, which means that the earnings per share rank is near the top and the relative strength rank is near the top. Now, this is something interesting and fun to do. You can highlight a scan, do a Control C, and then do a Control F, and it's going to put that up here in the find. You can see that there are 1,492 instances in these stocks where the EPS end of day 80 EPS and 80 relative strength appears. And if you look down this column right here, you can see that wherever those colors are, this is dominant. As I go down to the closer to the bottom on some of these, you can see that it's still appearing on many of these stocks. What does this tell me? It tells me that that is a good group to use every day to locate what's moving in the market. Like I said, it goes back to, let's look at CF. It goes back to March 4th. I'll bring CF up over here. And I'll bring a crosshair up. And on March 4th, which is right here, that's the first date that I captured. I'm sure it would have shown up before that, but this is the first date that I captured. This is March 4th. You can see it moved up, pulled back, formed a low volume test, moved up again. It's been bouncing around between support and resistance, and it did break past resistance, and then it fell back, got overextended, but now it's still up in this area. Why? Because it meets the minimum requirements of 80-80. And the group had to be moving up that day. Now these lines up here tell me if the stock at any point in time was outperforming, underperforming, or moving along with the industry group. You can see that it pulled back now, so it's underperforming the industry group, which is ag chemicals. It's also over here. It's looks like it's trading in line pretty much with the SPY, the QQQ, and the Russell. Down a little bit, you can see it's turned down on all of these, so it's slightly underperforming. But if we go back here, and I'm just going to draw a line down here at this point, you can see that it was outperforming the Russell, the NASDAQ 100, and the S&P 500, and it was outperforming its group too because it was moving up slightly. So you get a good visual on a stock by using this chart. Now I also, one chart down, I have a weekly version of this chart, and you can see that over this time period when it was really moving up, look how it was outperforming all of the indexes, but at this point it was underperforming its group because the group was going down. That means that the equal dollar weighted group, there were stocks that were actually stronger than this one at that point, well, throughout this period. Even though this looks really strong, other stocks in the group were outperforming. But this is important that these stocks outperform these indexes. So that's why I put these charts in my new add-on file for Insider Club members. Now I also want to point out all of the instances of either candle flags or VPA or a combination of both that occurred. You can see that it was under accumulation down here after the pullback, and then several efforts to rise, and then got overextended and pulled back. Support line was generated here. This support line goes back to this high, and then it took off again. So my conclusion is that I like this group, and if I want to eliminate some stocks, I just go up to the next group, the 85-85, which is a little more stringent. So I'll copy that. Let me clear this one out. I'll copy this one, and then I'll do a Control F, and you can see that this highlights all the 85-85s, and if you look down here and see all of the yellow, the dark yellow, it's appeared that many times. Now I'm going to do another group here. I'll clear this. I want to go to the leading stocks. Highlight this. Leading stocks based on the Leaders Smart Group under WB, Woodward and Brown. Control copy, Control find. Now you can see there are several of these, but it isn't as consistent throughout. But these are the leaders based upon this, and you can see that This appeared also on the 4th of March on CF Industries. As I scroll down here, you can see that the stocks that have appeared many times based upon this number, this group is also a very dominant group. So let's, with that information in mind, I'm going to go into my end of day bullish for yesterday, and I'm going to just go to the 85.85. Let's compare the difference. You can see the 80.80 has 218 securities. The 85.85 has 151. So let's go with the 85.85, just a little bit stronger group of stocks based upon those two criteria. Now I'm going to transfer this group into the warehouse. Let's take a look at the warehouse. I'll sort on industry. You can see that these stocks, in addition to having 85.85, they have to be in a group that was up for the day. So you can see up here at the top, 151. Here's the industry percentage price change one day. If I sort to the downside and bring this up, you can see that all of these groups were positive. So what do we have going with this scan, or these scans? We have stocks that have a high EPS rank based upon slope and standard deviation on the EPS rank. And let me show you what I mean by that. You can see the slope for EPS is up, and the standard deviation, if you have a stock EPS with wildly varying EPS from quarter to quarter, it's going to have a wide standard deviation. We're looking for the smooth, and you can see how smooth this is in this stock. So you're saying, well, what do I do with this? I mean, there's 151 stocks. I'm not going to make a decision based upon 151 stocks. Well, there's several things that you can do. These two columns, or these four columns that I put in, serve a very good purpose. It tells how long it's been since the 3 crossed the 6, or the volume point of control crossed to the upside. So on this stock right here, it is Centennial Resource Development. I'm just going to stick with this plain chart for now. You can see that it hit a high here, pulled back, low volume test confirmed. This yellow signal or flag confirms it, and it's trying to go up. It's going to run into resistance here, but it did pull back and it crossed over again. Now I can show you this quickly by moving up to my daily charts. I'll just do this one. Here's the VPOC right here, and here is the crossover again, this volumes, or this histogram right here. So I'm finding a stock that is pulled back and is giving a signal again, just by looking over here at the spreadsheet. Let's find another one. Okay, here's one that's an 85.85 stock that's in a group that was up today, but it pulled back 5 days ago on both the 13-day and the volume point of control. Let's take a look at it. Okay, so you can see down here at the bottom, volume point of control is negative, and it's negative here on the histogram, and the 3, well, this is the 3 versus under the 13. That's what I meant to say. It's red, so that means it's under there, but it's setting up here. So this is a relatively low risk entry. Why? Because we have the EPS rank, the RS rank, and the group moving up. Now see, this EPS, the blue line, the standard deviation is a little more, but the slope is still good enough, comparing it to the other stocks in the database, to give it an EPS rank of 96. You can see there has been good growth here over the past 3 quarters compared to the same quarters 1 year ago. Now this is a stock that I'm going to add to my potential setups. Let's look at this one. Now, I don't like this. There's too much resistance there. The easiest way to do this is to sort on these columns until, and then go to the top and look at all these stocks that have pulled back below the 13, but yet they meet all the other criteria here. So if you just concentrate on this group, you can quickly flip through them and see which ones are extremely loose like this one, or tight and setting up. Arch Resources, I'm going to put it in my group. This one's a $1.15 stock. This one's a little bit loose, but that's pretty strong turnaround signal right here. It's got a lot of overhead resistance. Let's go back to that other chart. You can see that it's been underperforming its group. It's been underperforming the SPY, the QQQ, and the IWM. So it's pretty weak now. I would pass on that one for now. Huntsman Corporation, too loose, too gappy, which means too much risk. Now you may ask why this one has such a high RS, because it takes the last quarter into account at 40%, and the rest of the quarters are judged at 20. So you're going to get stocks like this. It actually makes sense, but you look at it visually and you say, why? Okay, here's another one. It's been underperforming everything. It's a cheap $1.19 stock. Okay, let's look here. Educational services. Anyway, I don't want to belabor the point. Now look at this one. Sometimes these RS ranks don't seem to make a lot of sense, but they're calculated against every other stock in the database. So just if you see something like this, just pass on it. Now I'm going to do just the opposite. I'm going to click on this, and let's locate the stocks whose numbers are high. And this tells me immediately that the stock has been, I'm going to go up here, moving up for a long time based upon the volume point of control and also the 3 above the 6. Happened clear back here. You can see it happening here, and it really didn't look back. The 3 has never crossed down below the 6, and we have a strength seen returning after a downtrend as of Friday. So we have a strong stock, and every time it's tried to pull back a little bit, what happened? Buyers stepped in. I'm going to put that one in my group too. X, United States Steel. This has been on a buy for a long time. Look at all the pocket pivots here. Great VPA flag, effort to rise. Look at all these efforts to rise. The 3 never did pull down below the 6 again. Been a great stock. Okay, I'm going to go down, look at this other chart. You can see that it's performing with the group. That pretty much the group has been strong. It was outperforming right here, and it's been performing along. And I'm going to put the crosshair back on. During this time period, you can see that I was outperforming the market and outperforming the group. Now, one more thing, if you don't want to sort and look at all these charts, the next best thing to do, or maybe the best thing to do, is to come in, go into my daily prospecting scans. Let's say I'm looking for a impulse reaction, which a stock that's been trending and it's pulled back just a little bit. I can flip this into the ranking module based upon Ian's slow. There are 32 stocks. I click on this one and it immediately shows me a strong stock which has pulled back slightly. That's what this scan does, impulse reaction. Here's the impulse, reaction, kind of an impulse, looked like it was going to go again, but look what happened. Resistance, ran into resistance, it couldn't get through. It's trying to go again. This is a consolidation area here. It's got to get past resistance. Is it outperforming? It's performing with the group, slightly outperforming the SPY and these other indexes. Let's do one more here. Antero. Look at this one. It's been outperforming these groups, or these indexes and the group. Now it's performing along with as it consolidates. Here is the impulse or the expansion. Here's the reaction, setting up again. Put that, whoops. I have to get rid of that. Put that in my group. Okay, there are several things you can look at here. That's just the impulse reaction. Here's the 10 period VPOC crossover today, the 3-6 crossover. See, this weeds them out for you. Here's a continuation indicator. A lot of these stocks have really been strong and they're continuing. Well, that's not a great example. Here's one. Now I want to show you one more thing. If you go into my basic charts today, I put this continuation chart number 7 in here, and what it does is it shows you downside continuation and upside continuation, and there has to be pocket pivots. Negative pocket pivots, positive pocket pivots. So I didn't get, there weren't a lot on there. Let's try another stock here. Here's Option Care. Notice all these continuation bars on the way up because there were pocket pivots, and the other requirement is that the price, the 3 has to be above the 6 or it won't generate one. Now here on the downside negative pocket pivot, the 3 was below the 6, and that's why that turned rose. Let's do one more. Let's look at a Datadog here. You can see the downside, and then here was the crossover right here. Here's continuation, continuation, continuation. Looks like there is some buying in there. My point is there are lots of scans here. I'm going to end this video. It's getting too long, but I wanted you to see the power of this smart group and how you can take a single smart group, which historically in the past, well, it's a short history so far, but anyway, I'll keep looking at those, and then I can just mine this group, or I can mine the leaders, or any of these are good. And the ones that are not good, as I continue to keep this data, I weed out and experiment with other ones. But the 85-85 or 80-80 is a good place to start. Also the leading stocks, or the raw relative stocks. This is raw RS, stocks and groups moving up, and there's either a VPA or a candle signal. I'll flip this in here quickly. Let's run this into the designer. Let's look at, you can see that this is a very strong stock. You can see the continuation on this. Not a VPA flag today, but a strong candle. So that's it. Have a good week, and just experiment with these groups. See if you can find some decent stocks to trade. The market, I put out a, this out this morning, put it on Facebook and sent it to the group, and this is setting up the way we want it to. Now, there's no guarantees it's going to follow through, but there's a low volume test, as I pointed out in here. I took my copy out of here, sent it off to George, but you can see there's a bullish sentiment now, and this is what we want. This is V, this is the right hand V of this W, which I've shown several times, and it's broken past resistance. There is it's beyond that resistance. But anyway, we had a two-day pullback. This was actually an up day compared to the prior day. Volume was light, low volume test. Now ideally it's going to break resistance here, and that constitutes an uptrend, a continuation of the uptrend, because this here would be a higher low and this would be a higher high. Anyway, that's the way I see the market. I'm not always right, but you just look for clues, and those are the clues I currently see. Thank you for listening, and have a good weekend.